last summer, or autumn, the BMA, British Medical Association, held the largest ever survey of medics, and over half of them said that they personally supported an assisted dying law, and a significant percentage said they thought that the BMA should be neutral on it, and actually I think it was less than 40% said they were against it. And that's really interesting, because there's been a considerable shift since we last had an assisted dying bill in the UK, which was 2015. And I think the time's come when we stop looking back at what we did then and why parliamentarians rejected it then, and look at the phenomenal evidence that's arisen since that date, to show how it's working in other jurisdictions and the models that we can look to, not least, as I said previously, from MyDeath-MyDecision, it's the Canada model that we think. And interestingly, I was reading something earlier this week that in Canada they've had their law since 2016, and over 70% of Canadians are still strongly in favour of having the law, which makes you feel that there must be some confidence there in society that it's working, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing. I think it will take time and confidence, and looking at the data and all of those kind of things. You were talking there about the self-administered, taking the tablets yourself, and I think when we look at that, you have to be in a particular physical state to do that, and it kind of precludes a lot of people. So Paul Lamb, who is paralyzed from the neck down, couldn't have that option. That option is taken away from him if you have to. And we know about Dignitas, and I think people have seen the films, and there have been lots of documentaries on that. But then you have to be strong enough to get on a plane to go there, and it means that you're doing things before you would really want to.
That's absolutely right. I mean, it's scandalous that there's been a six-fold increase in the number of people travelling to Switzerland, and although it's a relatively small number in total, it's about one a week. Bear in mind, you've got to have roughly 10 to 12 grand to meet the cost of doing that. So the people who can go, it's quite a select number of people, and there are also problems with those who seek to help people to go abroad like that. So if you under the Suicide Act, which took away the criminality of of taking your own life, nevertheless kept an offence of assisting someone to die with a sentence of up to 14 years. And so if you assist someone by going to Switzerland with them, or indeed helping them to make arrangements to go and so on, you lend yourself to the possibility of prosecution. Although the current leader of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer, when he was Director of Public Prosecutions, actually introduced guidelines following a case brought by an amazing woman called Debbie Purdy, basically setting out in what circumstances it would be in the public interest to charge someone with assisted dying, assisted suicide. And I don't think any cases, as far as I'm aware, have actually gone to court. I mean, there are still cases where someone's actually helped someone to die in perhaps more obvious ways, which I won't go into on the programme. But in relation to people who've assisted someone going to Switzerland, that hasn't happened. But bear in mind, imagine you just accompanied your loved one to Switzerland and you've been present when they've ended their life, and then you come home and the police knock on your door, and although you can probably draw comfort from thinking, well, I'm probably unlikely to get charged, that can take a year, 18 months to get resolved, just at a time when you're grieving. And our law shouldn't be like that. I mean, how dystopian is it when Matt Hancock stands up in Parliament in relation to COVID regulations and agrees there can be a specific waiver for people wanting to travel to Switzerland for an assisted death? I mean, it's just bizarre, isn't it? So in a sense, the state there is recognizing that people are going to have an assisted death, but haven't yet got round to introducing one in our own jurisdiction. And that's why at MDMD, we are just our primary goal is to get a public inquiry